What's up again, everybody? Rover184, 2Rs2Bs, gundam.tk. Good to have you here. The other day I was talking about SD Gundam, G-Generation World, and this is the newest video game in the G-Generation series. It came out on Wii and PSP, and I was going to talk about what I'm doing in this game specifically, but before that, I think I should go back to G-Generation Wars, because when you play these games over and over again, it's similar to Fire Emblem and stuff like that. I'm sure that you've got your own ideas. And the old one, G-Generation Wars, came out on PS2 and Wii back in 2009. Now, this isn't a review per se, because I'm just going to say that, first of all, I love the game. It was great. It was the first one that I've played all the way through, and I did 100% it. I think it took me 140 hours. I'd probably say that half of that time, though, was spent with the actual game on, and I was on the wiki figuring out my evolution paths to get all of the, I think it was 700 mobile suits, so it's just a ridiculous number of characters to collect, trade, build, plan, and do stuff like that. So somebody asked in G-World, which teams do I use? And this is the best part, I think, of the G-Generation series, is there's a million different approaches and you can choose what to do. And I remember I was playing the game with a Japanese friend who just said, well, evolve your basic units into a Haro, and just go from there, because he doesn't care about anything in the game. He doesn't care about the Gundams or anything like that. All that mattered to him was getting powerful suits, using the original characters with good stats early on, and just stat maxing them and beating the game like that. Of course, I want to play a different way where I've got some sort of a theme, and that's where you get the creativity or the choice in this game to play it exactly how you want. So you can go strictly by, I want powerful suits and I want them now, I want to build themes that work, and of course, over time, your teams are going to change. You could even put Saji Crossroad in the Devil Gundam, because there's absolutely no limits in terms of which characters and which MSs are going to be connected. So I'd love to hear with a comment down below if you would tell me what your teams were, especially the ones that you finished the game with, or what kind of themes, or do you just play for power or for fun? Which characters do you like, things like that. Are there any MSs that you just fell in love with over time because they had such a good ability or something like that? For those of you that follow my channel, you're probably not going to be too surprised, but here were my teams that I finished the game with. Pretty early on in the game, I decided that I wanted to get, yes, you guessed it, the lead Gundams, and I split up. I had my two ships. I had the Reinforced Junior from V Gundam as my Universal Century ship, and I had the Ptolemaios as my Another Century ship. And my first team that I built up was based mostly on the OVAs and movies, so you had the GPO-3, just the small one. Whenever you had a ground mission, I had Shiro in the EZ-8, and Christina piloting the Alex, and I had 0079 Amuro, the old one from First Gundam, piloting the new Gundam as my leader of this first and probably weakest team. For my second Universal Century team, I had Camille leading things in the Zeta Gundam, followed up by Judo in the full armor, double Zeta Gundam, which could deal all sorts of punishment. Seabrook in the F91, which once it gets angry, just has some amazing powers. But my Hunter Killer, this is the thing that I had built up very early in the game. I think I got one of the core boosters or something from the V1 Gundam, which became the V2, and then the V2AB before you know it. And I think that this was just, it could one-hit just pretty much anything in the game. So the V2 Assault Buster really became one of my favorite Gundams after playing this game. The 90s ruled on my second ship, the Ptolemaios, where I had Domon in the G Gundam, of course, doing his God Finger. Then I had Hero in the Wing Zero Endless Waltz version for speed and just plain firepower. And if you're talking about firepower, the DX can't be beat. And my leader for this was Lauren in the Turn A Gundam. If you thought that 90s team could deal a lot of damage, my second team was no slouch either. And it was really not difficult for me to choose between these two because, well, which one's the lead? Doesn't really matter. Might as well choose them both. Strike Freedom's just a lot more fun than Freedom. The Destiny has an awesome moveset, and yes, the only non-lead Gundam that made the team was the Infinite Justice, and they were led by Setsunaev Seiei in the 00 Riser, so that was my 2000s team. So it's easy for me to bring out these mobile suits to show you the ones that I was using, but my masters, it is impossible because sadly Bandai has not made them in proper model form. So in terms of characters, I had Movie Amuro was my main from early on. He got good stats, including good awakening and everything like that. But at some point he ended up piloting the Kusui Gundam, and then even better is the Penelope Gundam, which has a 2 to 10, well, once he gets angry and his tension rises, he has a 2 to 10 funnel attack that just can't be stopped. So the Penelope Gundam is now one of my favorite Gundams of all time, simply because it led me in this game for, 100 hours or so. And my other team was led, no, not by Arthurun, but by Char Aznable. I had him from Char's counterattack as well. And he ended up in the Nightingale, which also does not have a model, although a high-grade Universal Century would be pretty nice. So the 90s, led by Char, and the old guys from Universal Century, led by Amuro. That'll wrap up my flashback back to G-Generation Wars, which I have to say was a really fun game to play, and it just helps you learn so much about Gundam, especially when you go for the 100% and you just see that, oh, if you combine this and this, you can get that, or you can evolve this into that. Now, some of it is based on the mythos, and some of it is just, well, gameplay, but on the other hand, it's still a fun experience to go through, and if you have the chance, I highly recommend it. But that's enough about Wars. It's time to go back to World, so I'll be talking about that in another video. I'll talk about my teams, but really, this isn't just my team. This is not necessarily the best way to do it. I have some pretty weak Gundams in there compared to some of the other ones, so why don't you tell me which ones? Finding Penelope was just like an amazing thing in that game, and I'm sure that you've all had experiences like that, so why don't you let me know what they were. Anyway, everybody, Robert184 Gundam.tk. See you next time.